So good evening to all. So let's start our fifth day session related to the what is the structure of SCI index journal paper. So it includes again review paper and research papers. So let's see with our SCI index journal paper. So some points that are common from Scopus as well as SCI, but some points get extra added inside that. So that's why I have just separated these two sessions, because whatever the quality required for the SCI journal, it is very much high quality. So that's why we need to just focus on this particular format. So let's start with our SCI structure. So first of all, we just discuss what is the format of SCI index review journal paper. Okay, so here we need to just first of all write the title of the paper. So title of the paper must be concise. That is concise. The meaning is related. That is whatever the theme we have to give the title related to that theme. Then again specific and reflect a scope of the review. So whatever the keywords such as comprehensive review or survey and so on. So we need to write that particular keywords inside the title of the review paper. So again, author information includes full names of all authors, then affiliations and whatever the contact of the authors. So all three these information that we need to write inside the author information. Again, we need to just write the highlights which are reflecting the main contributions the author have made inside the review paper. So again, journal to journal, it requires or it doesn't require. So whenever you want to just select the journal, at that time you can just see the sample papers related to that journal, so that we can get to know that whether we need to mention that highlights or not. So highlight is nothing but it is a points which summarize the main contribution of the review. The next one, that is we need to mention the graphical abstract which visualize the summary of entire review topic. So whatever the summary of the entire review topic, we can able to write inside the abstract. So again, this particular abstract we need to write so that the reader can visualize the contents whichever required. Okay, so just tell me whether my slide is visible or not. Okay, thank you. Okay. Depending on the journal to journal, we require to check whether we need to write the graphical abstract or not. The next part, that is, we need to write the abstract. So abstract is nothing but it is a structured or unstructured summary of the research paper. So it must be 150 to 300 words. So based on the Scopus or Scopus review paper, Scopus result paper. So in that particular case, or SCI review paper, SCI result paper, we need to just limit our abstract from 150 to 250 or 300 words. So again, it should includes the again same, that is background of the study or context. That is why the topic matters. Then the purpose, that is why this review is needed. Then the different methods, that is how the literature was selected and analyzed. Again, we need to write the key themes or findings related to the our research paper, and we need to write the conclusions and implications, that is what are the concluding remarks we have achieved and what are the implications of this review paper. So all that particular things we need to mention under the abstract section. Again, we need to typically again write the keywords, 4 to 7 keywords. So what is the role of the keywords? The role of the keywords is to find the our research paper inside the indexing as well as inside the database for searching. So we need to just write this particular keywords for the sake of searching the contents. The next one, that is introduction. So the introduction of the review paper must includes the topic and its importance. Then we need to mention or define the scope of the paper. So what is the contents which are included or what are the contents which are excluded? So all that particular things we need to just write. Then again, we need to discuss the existing gaps or controversies related to our paper. Then again, so those who are saying that slides are not visible, you just check your internet connectivity, because from my side it is visible. So we need to just discuss or related to the particular topic. Again, we need to justify the need of the review paper. That is what is the exact of the review paper. Again, we need to just put the structure of the paper. So what are the sections which are included under that particular paper? We need to just write within that particular uh, introduction at the end of the introduction. That is whatever the organization of the paper we need to write at the end of the introduction. Then after that, we need to just write the methodology of the review. So what are the techniques or what are the things we need to just review? So this is the critical for the SCI journal. So even though review article do not conduct any experiments, but they must detail how the literature was collected. So it will just, we have to mention each and every details related to the literature review. So it includes what it includes, which are the databases you have searched to gather the review papers. Then again, which are the searching terms or Boolean combinations you have used. Then which are the contents you have included in the review paper, which are the contents you have not included in the review paper. Again, we need to just write the detailed flow of the procedure for screening process. So screening process includes the Prisma model. So this Prisma model means what? We need to just write the step-by-step process from searching the paper to up to getting the contents from that particular paper. Again, we need to write the time range of the collected literature. And after that, we need to just write the quality assessment of selected studies. So here we need to just write the systematic review, which requires the strict reporting, narrative reviews that may describe the methodology more briefly. Okay, so all that particular contents we need to just write inside the methodology of the review. Okay, so yesterday we just discussed the Scopus paper. So in that particular case, same way we can able to write for the SCI index review paper. Again, here we need to just write the main body or thematic or chronological section. We have to explain in depth for the review paper. So this is the core part of the review where we can able to organize it in multiple ways depending on the topic. So whatever the historical backgrounds, then whatever the evolutions of the field, that is when it is evolved, what are the contents which are included in that, again what are the key milestones. So all that particular things we need to just mention inside that particular SCI index review journal paper. Again, we need to just define the conceptual framework or taxonomies, that is which are the categories we need to just have, then how we can able to how we need to able to define the different taxonomies. So all that particular things we need to just write inside the conceptual framework. So again, here we need to write the definitions, models, then theoretical foundations and all that particular things. So all the parts we need to just write under the SCI index review paper. Then again, we need to just write the current state of art related to the different papers we have gathered. So what are the latest milestones? Then which are the leading methods, technologies and findings which are currently available for your concept or topic? Then which are the comparisons you have made so that you can able to compare the different approaches? So again, this particular section we need to just broken out into the theme wise or category wise. So for example, if you are using the cloud computing and IoT, so you can just make one section for the cloud computing, one particular theme for the IoT. Okay, so whatever the summaries of the studies we can able to mention, then whatever the strength and weaknesses, and whatever the comparative tables we need to draw. Again, inside the category 2, theme 2, we just write the same structure, that is whatever the summaries of the studies, strength, weaknesses, comparative tables on all. So whatever the number of themes we have, we need to write the same structure. And after that, we need to just write the quantitative summary. So inside the quantitative summary, we need to just write the statistical trends, then bibliographic analysis, then which are the patterns we have identified through this review of the various papers. And we can able to write the graphs and tables related to the review. So whatever the findings we need to just represent. So we need to just write summary related to that. That is, suppose I want to just represent the results. So I can just able to write the whatever the method, then what are the results which are coming and all that particular things. So all that particular parts we need to just mention inside the particular content. So here again, last section under the thematic is the discussion of the findings. That is, which are the things we have found which are the different things we have compared, then which are the different consensus and conflicts we have identified. Again, we need to just integrate the different results related to the different things, and we need to just write the explanation related to the trends. So which are the trends which are occurred? What are the things we need to just write? So all that particular explanations we need to just write within the discussion of findings. So all that particular things we need to just write. Again, after this representation of the thematic section, we need to write the challenges and limitations in the field. So whichever the field, we need to just write the review paper. So we need to just write the methodological limitations, or we need to just write the technical barriers, or we need to just highlight the gaps related to the knowledge. Again, we need to identify the various challenges observed in the real world applications. Again, we need to just write the limitations of the previous research. So all this particular part we need to write under the challenges and limitations of the field. Okay. Then again, we need to just write the future directions and research opportunities. So whatever the unexplored areas, emerging technologies, then which are the new methodologies we can able to propose, then whatever the probability for integration of our work with the interdisciplinary approach, and what are the recommendations we can able to provide for the practitioners as well as the researchers. So all that particular things we need to just write under the future direction and research opportunity section. And after that, we need to just write the conclusion. So inside the conclusion, we need to summarize the key highlights from the review. Then again, we need to just give the stress on the importance which are included under the field. Again, we need to highlight the different review contributions. So whatever the things we have just written, so which should not be repeated from the abstract or introduction. So you need to just take care that whatever the things we have written inside the conclusion section, it must be a contents without duplication. So after that, we need to just write the acknowledgement section where we need to write the fundings, collaborations, supports. So all that particular things we need to just write. Again, we need to just write the conflict of interest. So whenever we have, we don't have any particular relation with the editor, then we have to just mention author has no conflict of the interest. Okay, so this is required for the ethical standards of the review process and publications. Then again, whenever we got the fundings, or whenever our research is related to the funding, so we need to just write the list of grants, sponsorships, or project fundings inside this funding section. After that, we need to just write the references. So 80 to 200 references we need to just write to just get the in-depth knowledge related to that particular research. Again, we need to just follow the citation style. So it may be APA, it may be IEEE, it may be Howard, and so on. So whichever the style which is required by the journal, you can just able to write that particular style. And we need to just focus on the quality of the research papers. So all that particular things we need to just write for writing the contents related to the research. Okay, so these are the particular things which we can able to write under this particular section. Then again, we need to just write the appendix. So where we can able to write the extra information related to the paper. So detailed tables we can able to add, then supplementary data to just give the valid reasons to our findings through the review. Again, we can able to write the extended methods. Then whatever the additional figures which we need to just mention. So that particular part we need to just write at the end of the our paper. So these are the particular contents which we have to write inside the review paper. So what are the contents? That is title page, abstract, keywords. Then we just start with the review introduction, methodology, thematic section where we can able to discuss each and everything in descriptive format as well as table format. Then we need to just write the discussion, challenges, future directions, conclusion, acknowledgement. Then we have the funding, conflict, references, and appendix. So all these particular things we need to just write for the SCI index review paper. So it is somewhat similar to your keyword quality paper, but some things, some minor changes are there. So that particular, we need to just maintain the high quality of the our paper. So let's see what are the details which we have to essay index research or result journal paper. So here inside the essay index research or result journal paper, we need to just follow the typical structure which is called as IMRAD. So I stands for introduction, M stands for material and methodologies, RA stands for result analysis, then D stands for discussion. Okay, so whenever I need to just write the SCI index research paper which includes the results, so in that particular case we need to require the clarity, reproducibility, novelty, and scientific rigor. So scientific rigor means we need to just require the rigorous study related to the contents and we need to present that. So all that particular things we need to just do inside the particular research. Then here inside the SCI index research paper, we need to have the standard structure. So few things that are get added inside this particular structure. So title, abstract, keywords, introduction. Then sometimes introduction literature review is included as a part of introduction, or in some paper it is written as a related work or literature review as another section. So you can just check the format of the journal. So based on that particular format, you can just decide whether to include inside the introduction section itself or whether to write separately. Then material and method, or it is also called as methodology section. Then results, discussion, and conclusion. Whatever the other extra part, that is acknowledgement, author contribution. So author contribution is a new one. So here they can just clarify that what is the work each author they have done. So I will just show how we can able to just write the contribution. Then funding statements, then conflict of the interest, data availability is the new section where we can able to write the details related to the data sets you have used, and references and appendix or supplementary material. So all this particular contents which we need to just write under the SCI index research or result paper. So first of all, we need to write the title. So here title clearly presents the topic, scope, and core contribution inside that particular area. And it must be relevant. So here you can just mention the title up to 20 words, that is 10 to 20 words. Again, it includes the main variables and phenomena, methods, what type of experiments you have done, and related to the application domain. So again, method, experiment, and applications are optional. So if you have a scope, you can write. If you don't have any scope, you don't write. So for example, here you can just write a lightweight deep learning framework for edge-based object detection in IoT devices. Okay, so it will just understand that lightweight deep learning framework has been used for what? For edge-based object detection. That is the object detection which where edge computing has been used, where inside the IoT devices. Okay, so here object has been detected from the video captured throughout the IoT devices. And data is stored inside the edge nodes, and it requires the low resources. So that's why it is called as lightweight. So such uh, meaningful titles we can able to provide for the research papers. The next one, that is, we need to write the author information. So full name, institution, affiliation, email ID, or ORCID ID. Then whatever the contribution statement. So contribution statement means what? We need to just write the credit taxonomy. So credit taxonomy means what? We need to just recognize which authors have done which part. Just like our project presentation. So one particular student have done these things, one another this, another this. So such thing we need to just present inside the credit taxonomy. So depending on the journal to journal, such things we need to add. So first author done the conceptual, methodological, and software work. Second author done data curation and writing original draft preparation. Third have just visualize the contents and investigate the things. Then fourth have done the supervision. Fifth have done the software and validations. And sixth have done the writing, review, and editing. So such contributions we need to just mention under the credit taxonomy. Then again, whatever the contents we have just discussed in the Scopus index structure, same way we have this particular, that is abstract. So we need to write the background, objective, methods, results, and conclusion. So again, abstract must be 150 to 250 words. So remember that in the abstract, you don't have to cite the contents, as well as you don't have to use the paragraphs, as well as don't use the short forms inside the abstract. And you have to just focus on the results and novelty of your research. So based on that results and novelty only, the SCI index papers are forwarded for the review. So if the editor don't found anything interested, so in that particular case they are not forwarding to the review, they simply do the dex reject. Then again we need to just write the 4 to 8 keywords for improving the indexing or search visibility of our research. Then these are the contents related to the introduction. So introduction includes background, which includes the current knowledge, context, and importance of the particular domain or topic. Then we need to identify the limitations in the existing research. And we need to just formalize the problem statement. That is exactly what problems you have solved inside this research. And again, we need to just write the research motivation, where we need to just write why your work matters. So that particular motivations you need to just write inside this particular section. That is what is the motivation through which you have worked on this particular topic. So that motivation you need to just write. Again, we need to just define the point-wise research objectives. That is, which are the goals you have set for this particular research. So all that particular objectives you need to just write. After that, we need to just focus on the contributions. That is whatever the novel contributions you have made inside that research paper. So 3 to 6 novel contributions you need to mention, which includes new algorithm you have designed, or you have just proposed the new models, you have just proposed the new method which improves the results, you have made the experimental validations and so on. So all that particular things you need to just mention inside the contributions. Again, we need to just write the novelty of the work, where you need to just write what is the new and different. So what are the new contents which are available and what the innovations you have done. So that you need to just mention in the novelty of the work. And at the end of the introduction, you need to just write the summary of the section wise layout. That is whether the first contents or whether the first uh, second section includes what, third section includes what, and so on. So all that particular things we need to just write inside the introduction. So these are the total 8 points we need to mention inside the introduction section of the research paper. So background, literature gap, problem statement, motivation, objectives, contributions, novelty, and paper organization. Then we need to just either write the separate section or we need to integrate the literature review as a part of the introduction section itself. So depending on the journal to journal, we need to just decide whether to include inside that or whether to write separately. Okay. So we need to just write the summarization of the prior work. So either in chronological or thematic base. So section wise we need to just write, or you can just write the description related to this. Then we need to just compare the various methods which we have used inside the research papers. Then what are the limitations of the existing research? Then which are the research gaps we have identified through this research? And we need to provide the justification for that. Again, we need to just highlight the key goals of the research work in the field. Again, we need to just demonstrate deep understanding of the state of art. And we need to just write the sequential references to the particular content. Okay, so this is the most important thing. That is, whatever the references you have used for the introduction, you need to just write from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, whatever the references you need to just write inside the literature review, you need to write from 11, 12, 13 sequentially. If you are not writing in the sequential format, then they have to highlight inside the reviewer's comment. So to avoid that, we need to just write or cite the references in the sequential manner itself. Then we need to write the material and methods, which is also called as methodology, where we need to just write the experimental setup or framework. So this particular experimental setup or framework includes the system design, then architecture pattern, then workflow, and so on. So all this particular detail just write inside the experimental setup or framework. Then we need to write the material use. So whatever the material use, so depending on the field, we can able to either whatever the data sets we use, or whatever the softwares we have used, whatever the hardwares we have used, whatever the chemicals we have used, or whatever the equipments we have used. So all that particular things we need to just mention. So whenever we consider the data sets, then whatever the URLs or citations related to that data set, we need to mention. Okay. And again, we need to highlight the proposed methodology. So it includes the algorithm, pseudocode, various equations, various models you have designed, then various flowcharts, then whatever the derivations you have just evolved. So on that particular part, we need to write inside the proposed methodology. Then after that, we need to just write the details related to the data collection. That is whether we are just collecting the data from the instrument or sensors, or we have made the samples. Sampling means we can just take the random collection of the data, or what is the validation process which we have done for whatever the data we have collected. And then we need to write the parameter settings or configuration. That is how much you have, how the particular data has been assessed, so that we need to just reflect the replication related to the process we have just done. Okay, so details in a detailed enough for replication of the particular data. So we need to just mention that configuration settings. Again, whenever we have the biological data, so related to the clinical or biological or animal studies, then we need to take the ethical approval if required. Okay, so for example, suppose if you use the patient data, so in that particular case, you need to just take the mm, undertaking from the particular, or you need to submit the undertaking to the hospital that you are not using the data for the personal purpose, only for the research. Okay, so such understanding or undertaking are required for the ethical approval. Then we need to just write the statistical test. So it includes the T where we can able to compare the data between the two groups, or ANOVA where we can able to include from three or more groups. Regression, again, we can able to just find the relationship between the dependent and independent variables. So independent and dependence means what? Dependent means what? One particular variable that can be calculated from another. For example, suppose I just take the age. So age is dependent on what variable? That is birth date and current date. So the age is calculated based on these particular two variables. So birth date and current date is an independent variable. And from these two independent variable, we can just calculate the age as a dependent variable. Okay, so such regressions we need to use, or we can use the statistical significance to represent our data. Okay. Then inside the result sections, we need to write the tables, figures, graphs to visualize our results. Then again, we need to just write the different parameters through which we can able to evaluate the state of different state of art models, or we can take the benchmarking models to compare our results with their results. Okay, so that particular things that are under the quantitative results, and we need to just compare the various studies with the existing state of the art models, so that we can able to write the findings related to our research. Then we need to just add the similar to our Scopus index paper, that is additional experiments. So ablation studies where we can able to add or remove some components to check the how the overall performance get changed. Then we need to just add the sensitivity analysis where we can able to determine how we can able to change input variables which affects the output. Okay, so either model or system or algorithm. Then we can able to make the observations where we can able to explain what each experiment demonstrate. So we need to just write the observations, whatever we have just observed throughout the result. So that particular observations we need to just write. Again, inside the discussion section, we can often combine with the results or separate. So discussion section, we can either able to write after result section at the end of the result section, or we can able to write the separate section for the discussion. So based on the result, journal to journal, we need to just take the decision. So first we need to interpret whatever the result we got. Then we need to compare that results with existing systems result. So here we can able to cite their another papers where the results are found, and we need to compare that results with our results which we got. Again, we need to just write the strength of our approaches. So whatever the contributions which we have made throughout our research paper, so we need to highlight that contributions, and along with we need to just find the or write the limitations of our research. So whatever the limitations we need to write honestly so that it will just maintain the transparencies, and the SCI papers require this such type of the transparencies. Then whatever the practical and theoretical implications related to our research, we need to just criticize deeply in the format of analytics. Okay, so all that particular things we need to just write under the discussion, and we need to just provide the future work suggestions. That is, these are the particular findings we got, and this work can be extended by using these contents. So all that particular things we need to add under the future work suggestion. Okay, and at the conclusion, we need to again write the details related to domain and problem. Then we need to answer the various research questions. So whatever the questions we have just written inside the introduction, we need to answer that. Again, we need to write the key findings related to the our research. Then whichever the contributions which we have stated. Again, what are the practical implications related to our research? Then what is the importance to the field? Again, we need to highlight the future research directions. So conclusion doesn't require any citations as well as new things which are not mentioned in the throughout the paper. So conclusion only requires the whatever the findings which we have observed inside the paper. And then we need to write the future scope. So future scope includes the various steps that can be just provide the guidelines to the researchers. So we can able to extend the model, or we can able to improve the performance. We can use the larger data set, or we can able to apply the different methodologies to the new domains and so on. So whatever the specific and realistic recommendations we need to write under the future scope. Okay, so that particular we can call it as a future scope or future work. And then we need to write the acknowledgement section where we can able to acknowledge related to the funders or institute or contributors or whoever provided the equipment support. Then we need to mention the conflict of the interest statement, so which is mandatory for all the Q1 journals as well as the SCI journals. Okay, so yesterday we just discussed. So here we can able to just write either no conflict of interest exists, or we can write authors declare no competing interest. Okay, so such declaration we need to provide. Then whatever the funding informations with grant number or project title or funding agency name, we can able to write under funding information. Then we can able to write the data availability statement where we can able to write the source for the data availability. So from which link we have downloaded the data, where the code is available, what are the simple supplementary materials you have provided to mention that particular data availability. So all that particular things we need to just mention related to the data availability statement. Then appendix, so where we can able to write the various algorithms, tables which have provided the more information related to your research, or you can also put the experimental data which you have just written other than whatever the results you have provided. Again, various derivations you have just derived. So all that particular things we can able to write as an optional section. Then we can able to write the references. So 30 to 100, 100 plus references you need to just write. More than that also it is allowed, no problem. But you can just mention 100 plus. Then most recently 3 to 5 years references from the Web of Science or Scopus index sources. And you need to just mention the DOI, that is digital object identifier for each and every paper. So depending on the journal to journal, we can mention the different referencing sites, referencing styles. So either IEEE or APA or elsewhere or Harvard and so on. So these are the details related to the summary of the SCI research paper. So title, abstract, introduction, method, discussion, conclusion, future work, and references. It just provide the clear and specific title, background, method, result, conclusion that are included under the abstract. Then whatever the literature, problem, objective, novelty, and research organization of the contents that are included under the introduction. Then whatever the experimental details, designs, algorithms, data sets, we can able to write under the methods. Again, we need to just write the strength, graphs, tables, comparisons for just presenting the results. Again, we write the strength, limitations, and analysis related to the discussion so that we can able to interpret the thoroughly the results we got. And we need to just write the summary and implications of our research under the conclusion section. And in the future work, we need to just write the recommendations. So various recommendations we need to just provide so that any other researchers, they can just take as and they can able to work further in our research. And we need to just write the high quality sources related to the references. So these are the particular contents related to the review paper as well as the research paper. Okay, so I will just show one particular review paper. Okay, so these are the particular review paper. So whatever the title, then whatever the author information, then abstract, keywords, then whatever the introduction. So either one column or two columns, depending on the journal to journal, these particular structures, they can just change. Okay. So here they have just mentioned the contributions. So point wise or bullet wise for contributions, we need to just add. Then these are the tables. So again, the particular data that can be just provided with the help of the word cloud. So this is the structure related to the word cloud. Again, we can just define the problems and overview related to this. So while defining the problems and overview, we can able to just perform the equations and all that. So here we can just provide the detail related to the how we can collect the data and which parameters we are consider and which are not considered. So this is the paper name, year, and these are the contents which are either taken or not taken. So all that particular comparison we need to just add inside this. So again, here we need to just add the methodology overview. So with the help of the different figures, we need to just visualize the taxonomies related to the contents. Here such charts we can able to write. Okay, so classification research methods we can able to represent. so that from one technique we can just evolve another, from another to another, and so on. Then we need to just write the methods, various methods. So this is called as thematic or section wise summary. So multi-model data types and feature extraction. Again, second one, that is cross-model context-based fusion. Again, various figures, various visualizations we need to provide to justify our contents. So in the table as well as figure format, we can able to write. And this is the third part, thematic section, that is social context modeling method. So either we can use the table, graphical figures to visualize our data. And after that, we can able to just write the dataset descriptions which we have studied. So all the papers, datasets we just review, and we can able to just discuss how the particular different authors have performed the experimental on the data. So which are the parameters they have used, how they can be able to compare the research and all that. Okay, so all that particular comparison they just give, and we can just have the discussion section along with the conclusion and future direction. Okay, so all that particular things we can able to cover along with the references. So before references, we can just have the open access section as well as the references. Okay, so such things we need to just add. So this is one journal paper format. You can search any number of papers, whichever you want. Then I just show the SCI paper, result paper, which is published in the SCI journal of the village. So transaction of emerging telecommunication technology. So this is the journal name. So here I need to just mention the particular title, then author names, then their designations, then which is the primary author for correspondence, then whether the funding is got, or which are the keywords. So all that particular things we need to just write. So journal to journal, these particular things are changing. Okay, so based on the journal format, you can just take. Then we can just write the abstract, introduction. So after introduction, we can just write the subsection for the problem statement, motivation, and contributions. Okay, so whatever the contributions we have, we can able to just made in the bullet. Then we need to just write the what is the novelty of our research. So that novelty either write it as a part of the introduction section, or you can make the separate subsection. And we can able to write the subsection as an organization. That is what third section includes, what second section includes, what fifth section includes, and so on. Then here they have just made the literature review as a separate section. So related work. So related work along with the whatever the research gaps they have identified. So all the tables we can just have. So just make sure that you can just, whenever you can make the literature review, you have to just put the contents in the tabular format so that reviewer can just go through the tables, they can find the description. Okay. So method use, merits and limitations along with the authors and references. Then we can just have the proposed methodology where we can put the block diagram, then data collection mechanism. So here whole URL have been listed along with the citation. Okay. Then data collection in depth related to the various parameters. Again, pseudocodes we can just give. Then again, various algorithms related to the data compression, its equations. So on that particular part, along with the flowcharts also explain. Okay, so here you can just represent the contents with different visualization diagrams. And inside the results and section, first part we can able to write as experimental setup, whatever the parameters you have used for the performance comparison, we can just write in description. Then whatever the parameter analysis, then these are the particular charts and tables related to your discussion, and we can able to just write the discussion section as a separate section. So this is the discussion section where we can able to discuss thoroughly related to the result findings we got. And then after that, we can write the conclusion, then data availability statement, and references. So here 57 references are there. So you can use any particular references from the range 30 plus to up to 100 plus or 200 plus. Okay, so depending on the depth of your paper, you can just write the contents. Okay, so this is how we can able to just write the contents related to this particular section, that is how to present the paper under the SCI journal.